So, how many times over the course of this 18-month of seemingly endless days and worrisome nights are you prepared to hear some version of thanks, but I'm not interested? How about if we took a slightly different approach to how this was actually progressing? Now, assuming you're cold calling to reach your prospects, how frequently, realistically, how many calls have you made to turn that prospect into a client? More importantly, how many calls do you think you need to make to turn that prospect into a version of your ideal client? Now, we'll get into this a little bit later on, but just think about having a book of clients who also happened to be close personal friends who all started as people that you didn't know. By the way, for those of you that still believe that the majority of your book will be made up of people you already know, probably not. It doesn't usually work that way. Life's kind of funny that way. We have to prospect. And just to be clear, the defining skill of a top flight financial advisor is the ability to create trust and empathy immediately and have it expand and grow, because you only get one chance to make a first impression. You're basically dropping in on someone's day, hoping they've got some need to talk to you. How many calls do you need to make to yield one client? Maybe it's 100, maybe it's 1,000. But as you gather 10 clients out of those 1,000 calls or 10,000 calls, probably only one or two have the potential to become ideal. So the whole process that we're going to learn as we go forward is, why don't we just skip that part? Let's leave that part on the side. Let's forget it exists. Let's only go after the types of clients that we can envision going down the years with. If you picked up the phone and heard the recording you made a few minutes ago, what would you do? Odds are you're going to just sit there and go, oh, God, that's awful. It's like somebody takes a picture of you and you're just sitting there making some goofy face and they happen to freeze it. Or you're doing a video and it freezes at the wrong spot and you look equally goofy. We should be hard on ourselves. We should ask tough questions of ourselves. How does this come off to someone else? And the answer is usually not great. A little harder than we thought when we first started. I'm sure they're teaching you great cold calling skills. I see, by the way, when I look at the marketplace for coaches and mentors and all this other stuff in the business, that the vast majority of them tell you how you're going to dramatically grow your business, either cold calling more effectively, using email more effectively, or of course using LinkedIn more effectively. Yeah, I believe it. That's all well and good. That's great. Until you actually get the client and then have no idea how to get all the other money and generate a network of referrals and have those referrals come to you in a seemingly unsolicited fashion because you're just so freaking good at what you do. That starts at the beginning. I never wanted a large book. I had one between my third and fourth year. In fact, going into my third year, I had a manager that was smart enough, knew what my goals were, that convinced me to give away 75% of the accounts I was then working with. I'll tell that story a bit later on in the program. It was like remembering where you were when man landed on the moon. I will never forget that abject feeling of fear and desperation when I came in the Monday morning and I had one notebook instead of 3. All that work was gone. What did I do? Put my head down and went to work. Did I build it the same way I did from the start? Hell no. As a joke, manager came in 2 weeks later, saw what I was doing. He said, "Oh, I was just kidding. Would you like these clients back?" I said, "What clients?" So let's think about this a little bit differently. What if you could make an initial call that was intriguing, where the person on the other end of the phone was actually interested in what you were saying because it was different? What if it was educational? What if you were able to tell them something which may be your first initial exchange of value? What if it was provocative? By provocative, I mean asking questions that the person on the other end of the phone isn't quite sure where you're going or doesn't have the answer at hand, thinks they do. What if it was humorous? What if from the outset you could acknowledge just how silly this was to try and establish a relationship in a way where you're just giving somebody a call on the phone? Let's call it what it is. But think about this for a minute. What if, for all the right reasons, let's assume you have the time machine that we all seek. You know exactly what's going to happen before it happens. You're so confident in all of your skills as a financial advisor that you honestly believe that anyone who failed to engage your services would be settling for someone less qualified, putting their own dreams and their family's dreams at risk. What if you knew for sure you had those skills? Wouldn't you feel compelled to try and help as many people as possible? Now, you could say that, well, if I had those skills, why would I do the job? So you got to take yourself out of it. The skills only apply outward. The universe won't let you benefit from them. You can only benefit by being the last at the buffet table. Clients have to eat first. You go second. Our reward, both here and hopefully in the hereafter, is based on service to others, based on always doing the right thing for the people that trust us to do the right thing. What if you knew for sure there was nobody out there better than you? How would you sound on those calls? What would you talk about? Knowing that anyone that failed to engage you further, it was ultimately their loss. Here's the other side of that statement. If you don't believe you're that person and carry that confidence without knowing what's going to happen in the future, what are you doing here? Why are you in the job? Consider for a minute, would you want to deal personally with someone who you perceived wasn't the best at what they did? What is it you're doing today, tomorrow, and the next day to convince people that you don't know there is no one out there better qualified to take care of them and their family's finances than you? I'll see you on the next slide.